Today I'm going to tell about how I had to have 3 teeth removed from my mouth after being jumped by a correctional officer and 2 inmates at the Baltimore City Detention Center, aka Baltimore City Jail.
I did my crime and I did my time. All this time I've been anytime. I needed the time to fix my mind. Rising star, now watch me shine.
To set the stage for you, I have a horrendous driving record. Not so much, breaking law, other than driving without or driving on suspended. So one of the many times that I got caught driving when I wasn't supposed to be, I was sentenced to weekends. And I forget what the math was, but I know I had a whole year worth of weekends to do. So I went in a couple times, and the way you go in is you stand outside Friday evening. Everybody gathers by the rear gate. If anybody's been to Baltimore City Detention Center when it was open, there was a never again sign that hung over the back gate. Well, that's where we would go in at. Everybody would try to smoke their cigarettes, get whatever in them to make it through the weekend, however it would go. So I went in the first weekend or two and checked the motion, see how it was going, went through no issues. On my third weekend, I started taking 15-15s, little baggies. I would duct tape with a square duct tape under the arch of my foot, one under each foot. During this time frame, I was still in active addiction. Well, actually, I was coming off of one of my many attempts, and I was on Suboxone at the time. So I would duct tape 4 Suboxone under one foot and a handful of Xanax under the other ones. Now, benzos have never been one of the drugs that I liked, but my thought process was that I'll just go ahead and sleep through as much of this as possible. So you would go outside, they'd let you in the back gate, everybody would line up, and they would walk a drug-sniffing dog past you every time. The dog would sniff you. Once cleared, we'd go in. Everybody would be not processed in the way you would for intake, but they would get your name, make sure you're logged in. You would get a boat, which is a hard plastic, almost shaped kind of like a canoe. Normally, you would put a mat inside of it for overcrowding, and that's would be your bed. That's where you would sleep. But we didn't get mattresses the whole weekend we were there. What we had to do was flip the boat over. So the flat bottom that normally hits the floor, you would put a sheet over it. You would get 2 sheets. You would put a sheet over it, and then you would cover up with the other sheet. There's no pillows. There was no other comfort. That was your situation for Friday night, all of Saturday, Saturday night, all of Sunday until Sunday at 6 p.m. So while I was taking these things in with me, I went through a week or two of, okay, everything worked out. And then on like the third week, I took what I took in there. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, the officer would come collect the boats, and short of just one long bench that ran down the side of the bullpen, you would sit or lay on the floor. I think we had one board game, the game Sorry, and 1 deck of cards. And that was pretty much your weekend. So I made it through that third weekend. Okay. Then the fourth weekend came. Went through everything as normal. Meet outside, everybody smoking cigarettes. Get let in through the back gate. Everybody lines up. Now, I have those 15-15s with a square of duct tape, just a little larger than the bag, taped under the arch of each foot. So you have to take your shoes and your socks off outside, and the dog walks around. But you don't have to pick your feet all up and show them like nothing fell out. They didn't worry about it. So I get in with what I was taking in with me. We go in, go through the normal Friday evening, go to sleep. And then comes Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. Like I said, I'm not a benzo person. I never liked them. The few times I took them, like I don't never remember nothing after that evening. And he comes to get the boat, and I don't want to give it up. So we get to jawing back and forth, and I get a little free with my mouth sometimes. I know I can back it up. There's not a lot of times where I'm really biting my tongue out of fear. Like that don't happen. So, and bro was little too. Like I was dead wrong in this situation, but he was not a big guy, big stature in any way, shape, or form, and that has nothing. I don't care if you're 7 foot tall or 4 foot tall, whatever is gonna be, whatever. So, bro wants to get the boat. I'm telling him I'm not kicking it out. I lay back down on it. He says something. I don't remember what exactly I said, so I would be lying if I try to insert dialogue right here. But it was something to the effect of, you gonna have to come in here and get this boat. He said, all right. He walked off. He comes back with 2 working men, and he's running his mouth. And I stand up, I see what's going on. I'm kind of surprised that 2 working men getting ready to work for him, but hey, it is what it is. After, you know what I mean, knowing the way city jail operated, 1 + 1 = 2. What's understood don't need to be explained. Anybody from Baltimore knows the underlying issues with the story I'm telling. So I square up. As soon as they pop the door, I hit the guard. Boom. I hit him. I proceed to rumbling. I get washed. I get my ass whooped. I ain't gonna hold you. It's 3 against 1. And I'm half out of it. A milk got spilled on the floor. I'm slipping around. I'm realizing that the baggies that are taped under my feet are now flapping around. And the CO gets up while I'm fighting the other 2 dudes. One of them pushes me down. I happen to fall either over an inmate or one of them clipped me. But whatever it was, it sent me onto my back. I rolled over to get up, put my hands down. As soon as I looked up, I knew I messed up. As soon as I was in that position, it's like I willed it to happen. A boot was just coming straight at my mouth. Boom! Yeah, he got me. It didn't knock me unconscious, but the correctional officer had steel-toed boots on. And I ended up getting to my feet. I took a step back, and I was bleeding a little bit, bumps and bruises or whatever, but I stood back, and they kind of deaded it. They stepped out of the cell and pulled the gate, like the swinging barred door, which I'll show a picture of right here. Looks similar to this. But, so the CO walks off. The 2 working men are still standing there in their gray jumpers or whatever. And they're looking at me. I'm looking at them. We're looking at each other. And I'm like, damn, that's how y'all rocking? Y'all working for the boss? Huh? Yo, and I ain't gonna lie. They're like, yo, come back in there right now. I pulled the gate shut. Like, it is what it is. Like, I definitely pulled that gate shut. I don't gotta tell no story, make me sound like a superhero, none of that. I knew what was in my best interest in that moment. And a moment of clarity, plus I'm long. Like, I got my ass whooped. It'd be like that. And I don't see the 2 working men anymore. And another correctional officer comes and takes me to the nurse. And he's like, yo, they're gonna look you over. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing to say, right? I'm like, yeah, ain't nothing to say. I'm good. I earned that. It is what it is. So I go, get looked at by the nurse, and my canine tooth was chipped in half. The tooth next to that was okay, but the tooth behind that, I had a cavity, and that got like really chipped. Like quarter of the tooth was gone or whatever. And she put gauze in my mouth, whatever, tightened me up, wrapped my elbow up because it was knotted up. And I went through the rest of my weekend. Got out of there at 6 o'clock. I went to the hospital that Sunday night. I went to Bayview, and there's nothing they could do except they gave me some like 512 oxycodones or something. But like I said at the beginning of this video, I was still in active addiction. Hey, I knew when I went to the hospital I was gonna get something, and this is right before I called 5 years, so this was back in 2010, and I didn't go to no more weekends once I got. Might as well tell this too. So I get out of the hospital. I go to the Walgreens down there on Haven Street, and it's after midnight. Baby slow. The guy's name was NGE. You know what I mean? An Asian name. I hand him. I'm in a sling. My face is lumped up. I hand him a prescription from the hospital. He don't want to get it filled. He's not going to fill it, and he's going to keep my prescription. He thinks it's fake. And I've already had a very long weekend. I've already had a trying weekend. And in that addictive mentality, I know I got something right there that I was going to be looking for anyway. You going to fill these pills today, but you going to do that. Again, my mouth. I get free with my mouth. I tell him I'll come across the counter and take my prescription. You gonna give me my prescription or you gonna give me my pills? I called the police. I dialed 911 because they were he's already calling for security like across the store. So I already know cover my ass. So I started calming down once I had 911 dialed, because if you don't know this, the minute that phone starts ringing, it starts recording. It doesn't matter if somebody's picked up yet or not. Excuse me. But it starts recording. So I started playing the, Johnny Citizen. I'm good. I'm even. The police come, ask what's happening. I tell him. He gives them their side. He tells me to wait out front. The police bring me my prescription out, but he told me like I'm banned from Walgreens for life. Is what it is. So I never went back to do my weekends. I just stopped. I wrote a letter to the judge, and explained, I'm like, look, I got some issues. Like I can't do that. Can you set a court date for me to come before the court? Well, it takes months and months to get into a court in Baltimore. So several months, and it was over in Wabash too. Come to think of it, that's not even like a district that I live near. So when I get in there before her, she is in my ass. Like, she is digging on, you don't dictate what punishments you're gonna do and not do and da 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 da. Honestly, I don't even remember what she gave me, because I caught my 5 years like immediately after that. Like it was within a month, so I don't even remember what it was. But that leads me to why the teeth are gone. So they raided my house, came and got me for that charge, and I couldn't get a county detention center dentist. in time. So once I hit the state system, I was at MCIJ, and they sent me out to go see the dentist that they have or whatever. I don't. It wasn't at JCI. It was actually. Was it over at JCI? It might have been. The dentist might have been right across the street over at JCI. I just remember leaving MCIJ. But in Maryland State Prison, they do not fix teeth. It's extraction. That's it. Like, they're not fixing. You're not getting crowns. You're not getting porcelain. You're not getting plastic. You're not yank. That's it. So the prison dentist pulls the first tooth. In fact, he pulled the back one first. Then, with that big hole next to it, he uses the good tooth for leverage to pull the chipped tooth out. So now I have two gaping holes with a tooth in the middle. And it's loose, it's wiggling because he used it for leverage. And he's assuring me, hey, don't worry. It'll tighten up as it heals. So I go through my whole bit. Anytime you've had a loose tooth, what do? You tongue punch it. Like, the whole time, like, I'm wiggling it with my tongue. Like, it's human nature when you have something like that to mess with it. So I come home. It's still in there, but it's really loose, and it's starting to like come down. You can see the gum line is down maybe 3/16 of an inch. And once I'm home, I'm actually in the bathroom at my daughter's mother's house. And I just grabbed it and pulled it out of my mouth. It didn't hurt. There was no nerve attached to it. It wasn't painful at all. It was weird feeling because it was like a suction cup. But yeah, that's how my smart mouth got me jumped by a correctional officer and two inmates, and led to me losing a nice chunk of furniture off my top row of teeth. Unfortunately, most dental insurance, especially the dental insurance I have, doesn't really cover like those kind of things. So I gotta pay out of pocket to get that tightened up. Yup. Consequences and repercussions. So with that, I'm gonna say, don't go to prison. Don't go to jail. Mind your mouth. Because everything we do and say, we gotta stand on that. This is what it is. That's what it was. This would it be like. Till next time.